If your parents are 45 or older, you probably grew up wondering something about them. Why they rarely complained. Why they didn't talk much about their feelings. Why they were strong but distant. This video might finally explain it. Part 1. The silent childhood they never talk about. Gen X parents rarely talk about their childhood. Not because nothing happened, but because too much did. They were the generation that learned one lesson very early. No one is coming. They came home to empty houses, made their own food, solved their own problems, cried alone, and stopped crying quickly because nobody was there to see it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how your Gen X parent rarely complains, rarely explains their pain, rarely talks about their emotions? It's not because they don't feel deeply. It's because they learned early that feelings don't change reality, so they became strong. But strength came with a hidden cost. They stopped expecting emotional safety, and that changes how someone becomes a parent. Part 2. They were forced to become adults too early. Most children slowly grow into independence. Gen X didn't. They were pushed into it, not intentionally, but inevitably. Their parents were working, busy surviving, and survival doesn't leave room for emotional attention. So Gen X children adapted. They stopped asking for help, stopped expecting comfort, stopped depending on anyone, because depending meant risking disappointment. And the brain learns quickly from disappointment. It stops needing, stops expecting, stops trusting emotional availability. They became independent. But independence born from loneliness is different from independence born from confidence. One feels empowering, the other feels isolating. Part 3. Why they seem emotionally strong but distant. Have you ever noticed? Gen X parents rarely panic emotionally. They stay calm, controlled, composed, even during chaos. That's not accidental. Their brain learned emotional self-containment. Because emotional expression didn't solve problems, action did. So their nervous system adapted. It muted emotional urgency. This created emotional stability, but also emotional distance. They love deeply, but express it quietly, not through words, through presence, through sacrifice, through responsibility, through showing up, even when nobody showed up for them. Part 4. Why they became more protective parents. Here's where something unexpected happens. Gen X parents often become more protective than their own parents ever were. Not weaker, more aware, because they remember what it felt like to handle everything alone. And they don't want their children to experience that same emotional isolation. But at the same time, they don't want their kids to become dependent. So they exist in a psychological conflict. They want their kids to be strong, but not lonely, independent, but not abandoned, resilient, but not emotionally numb. So they do both. They step back, but stay close. They watch silently, but intervene when necessary. Not because they're controlling, because they remember what it felt like to have nobody watching at all. Why they often seem emotionally tired. Gen X parents carry multiple psychological worlds at once. They are caring for their children and their aging parents, managing careers, managing financial pressure, managing emotional responsibility, all while carrying unresolved emotional independence from childhood. They became strong early, but strength requires energy, and constant strength becomes exhausting, not physically, emotionally, because they never learned how to be taken care of, only how to take care of others. Part 6. The hidden psychology behind their parenting style. Gen X parents operate from a different psychological blueprint. Not dependency, not control, balance. They give freedom, but remain present. They allow mistakes, but provide safety. They don't prevent struggle. They prepare you for it, because struggle is familiar territory for them. They survived it, so they teach survival, not comfort. And survival builds strength. Part 7. The truth most people realize too late. Gen X parents rarely say, I love you repeatedly, but they show it constantly, through consistency, through presence, through sacrifice, through protection. Because their love was built through action, not expression. They became the parent they needed, not the parent they had. And maybe the strongest people are not the ones who had the easiest childhood, but the ones who had to become strong before they were ready. Part 8. Gen X parents didn't become strong by choice. They became strong by necessity. And now, they carry that strength quietly, protecting their children from the loneliness they once knew, even if nobody ever protected them. And maybe the reason they seem emotionally different is because they had to learn how to survive emotionally before they learned how to live. Comment down. Now I understand them. Because understanding changes everything.